wait, it's muted. And then I know they're all going to get on me for that. When they always tell me, Michelle, it's still muted. Just kidding. I have no idea. Yeah, we were obviously having some technical. I don't know what's wrong with the intro there. It's just missing.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Resistance Chicks, where it's not.
That was all of this was me doing the intro. I did the thunder. And then I did boom, and then the Resistance Chicks comes.
Okay, I like to grab new people in case they're coming.
Okay, new people, you're going to love this show. We have so much news to cover today.
This week's top stories, we're going to cover as many of them as we can. We normally go live at 6 p.m. You want to tell everybody why we're a little bit late, why I might still be wearing my
farmer
overalls.
The farmer is Leah. The farmer is
Michelle. But Michelle sounds better.
I'm hoping that many of you saw the video that Kansas and I did on the deck, gave you a little update there, but to let you know that we were not going to be here at 6 o'clock. And I said it'll probably be like 7, which if anybody knows us in our lives, 7 usually means 7:30, 9 means 10.
I was done milking the cow at 6:30. I should have been done at 6. No, I was done, and I would have been home by 6, 7. But anyways, I was milking a cow. With the milker thingies, you got to clean them. It took a lot longer than I expected. Well, when you put it on, there goes, and it sucks. That's how it does it. Yeah.
Lee and I can actually milk a cow by hand, not very well, but
not fast enough.
Not fast like our Amish friends. You literally drop, so the milk is supposed to drop down into the udder, and so then you cut it off, and then you use these other 3 fingers to push it out. Then you have to open your hand again, let it drop, close it, and so it's a fast motion like that, and so it's just a constant squeeze. Oh my gosh, the hand muscles it takes to milk a cow, you really would have to build those up.
So speaking of animals, we're going to cover the Trump administration, but as people are coming, and I thank you for showing up, this is a news story that, when a conservative does something that might be a little off color, they just get totally taken to the woodshed.
Yeah.
However,
oh my God.
It's not even funny when somebody like Prada, who's supposed to be like the height of all fashion, does something that is so completely racist that it literally is like, oops, sorry, we didn't mean to offend anybody.
Right.
But you guys, the liberal and the left, I was just thinking about this, are so incredibly racist. It doesn't even bother them that they are racist. They just call us racist when we're not racist. Never in my life would I think of making a blackface little thing. Whatever it is, it's not even art. It's ugly. These are their new little... All over their store, they had these things. They wanted you to dangle them on your purses. But this is what is blackface. They made fun of black people in the early 1900s with big lips and black, like literally tarred faces. So Prada's in trouble for blackface little...
And you know what's so interesting is these kinds of things, and they're like...
seriously, this isn't a monkey. This is a black person, because monkeys don't have big lips. This is not a monkey. This is bad.
It's really bad, and it has to pass through several different people before it gets to the Prada stores, and that's what really irks me. Like, how many people had to be okay with that?
The Prada Amelia are fantasy charms composed of elements of the Prada whatever. They are imaginary creatures, not intended to have reference to the real world, and certainly not blackface. Well,
nobody thought that when they saw it.
This is a Prada employee taking all of her little blackface people down.
Whoops there.
That was a whoops. So
we're going to talk about the meeting between Trump and Nancy and Schumer. We are going to talk about the Clinton Foundation whistleblowers. We're going to talk about Michael Flynn. The big story that
it hits me
the Christmas
right
market,
now.
Theresa May. We're going to hit it all.
We might talk a little bit more about Theresa May on Sunday because we have a lot to cover.
We'll hit it a little bit.
Trump this week met with Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. Now, the cool thing about this is that...
The cool thing? How many cool things were in that meeting?
They didn't know that the reporters were going to be there.
I know.
Surprise.
They showed up. They were so upset.
Yeah.
They showed up, and Trump's like, you know what? It's called transparency. That's what he said to her.
The body language expert accuses Pelosi of childish behavior. Ha. I love the body language expert. This from the Gateway Pundit. You could... I don't know if it's an 18-minute video. But I wonder if we can just watch a couple minutes of her because she is so awesome. Do we have volume down there?
Maybe not.
My video isn't even playing. So.
Just smile.
Okay.
Not happy. And Pence is bracing for what he thinks is coming. Feet apart, leaned back in the chair. He's almost wants not to be there.
So hunched over.
Many of you can remember
Well, he's
as
talking
a
about
small
Pence.
child.
Oh, okay, yeah.
When your sibling
Schumer is then, yeah.
or someone
Schumer
next
does
to
not
you is
look
getting
happy.
in trouble by your mother. And you're like, oh.
The group, we're going to be putting it up for a vote. We have great Democrat support, great Republican support. So criminal justice reform, something that people have been trying to get how long, Nancy?
Pause right
Many
there.
years.
I don't know how long Stacy's going to be here, but she just showed up.
Happy birthday, Stacy.
Happy birthday to Rosa Sharon Homestead in our chat, one of our moderators, who's also a very dear friend of ours, Stacy. Today is her birthday, so I want everybody that's in the chat to wish her a happy, happy birthday. She always forgets her birthday every year.
That's so funny.
Her birthday comes around, and she has to be reminded by other people that it's her birthday. Stacy, you have to cut that out.
Many, many years. Looks like it's going to be passing, hopefully, famous last words, on a very bipartisan way. And it's really something we're all very proud of. And
There's
again,
a criminal
tremendous
justice
support
reform,
from
and I know
Republicans.
I've gotten some links from people who don't like it. Here's the thing. Sometimes you throw people something that they really want. I mean, I'm not sure it's going to make our streets any safer, but it's not my. I think Trump is doing a good thing with it, and it's not where I'm going to put my brain power right now, because there's a lot of support for it, and I need Trump to have support on things. That's more important.
Sure.
And tremendous support from Democrats, and I think it's going to get a very good vote, and we'll see soon enough, but it'll be up for a vote very shortly. A lot of years they've been waiting for it.
I'm going to try to get to where they're talking about the wall.
So we're going to see, but I will tell you the wall will get built. We'll see what happens.
It's called funding the government, Mr. President. But I'm pretty sure that... So if you shut it down, then you stop all that. Apparently at this moment, Schumer is starting to relax, at least into, it's not as bad as a tongue lashing as he initially thought. He's not grabbing his wrist anymore. He's just now gated, hand claps together. His hunchedness is now supported by his elbows. So we're not seeing, oh my gosh, he's so relaxed. He's just not as tense.
It is not an easy situation because the Democrats have a different view, I think, than I can.
Trump only wants right now $6 billion is fund a little bit more of the wall. Our budget is so large. Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer keep saying that it's immoral. It's a waste of money. But a government shutdown, they're willing to risk a government shutdown,
Right.
which would cost the economy billions.
Yeah.
They don't care about the money. They'll put $6 billion here, the $6 billion there, $6 billion for a sandwich.
I hope that in
It's
this
not
video,
about money.
we're able to get to some of his responses about this, because it was just so epic.
I think we're
Trump's
probably
exchange. I mean, I wish we could just watch like the whole thing.
we probably need to watch not the body language expert, but the body language expert. She's really good. There, Trump, Pelosi, Schumer.
So the wall will get built, but we may
A
not.
little louder.
We may not have an agreement today. We probably won't. But we have an agreement on other things that are really good. Nancy, would you like to say something?
Well, thank you, Mr. President, for the opportunity to meet with you so that we can work together in a bipartisan way to meet the needs of the American people. I think the American people recognize that we must keep government open, that a shutdown is not worth anything, and that you should not have a Trump shutdown.
Trump
you
shutdown.
Have the
what?
White House,
Did
the
you say
Trump
Trump?
shutdown.
Oh.
You have the White House.
gonna go.
You have
Stop
the
it. Stop.
Senate,
Stop the
you have
video.
House of
Stop. Are you people, hang on. If you guys are not paying attention, this is the time in class to pay attention, because there are so many little nuances that you are going to miss if you do not listen. I heard it too. She called it a Trump shutdown. I call it out. And Trump, all of a sudden he goes, Trump, did you call it a Trump shutdown? Oh, okay. Like, carry on.
Representatives, you have the votes, you should pass it
No, we
right
don't have
now.
the votes, Nancy, because in the Senate, we need 60
No,
votes.
but in the House,
And we don't
you
have.
could bring it up right now.
Yeah, but I
today.
can't, excuse me, but I can't get it passed in the House if it's not gonna pass in the Senate. I don't wanna waste
Well,
time.
the fact is, you can get it started that way.
The
And-
House, we could get passed very easily,
Okay,
and we
then do
do.
it. Then
But
do
the
it.
problem is the Senate, because we need 10 Democrats to vote,
No,
and
no, that's
they
not
won't
the
vote.
point, Mr. President. The point is that their equities to be
Stop
waived.
it right
And we're
there.
here-
Stop. Did you see his mouth? If you were not watching the president, right there, he just mocked her. He goes, he repeated what she said
have a
under his
conversation.
breath with his mouth moving.
Senate, because we need 10 Democrats to vote,
No,
and
no, that's
they
not
won't
the
vote.
point, Mr. President. The point is that their equities to be waived. And we're here to have a conversation in a
Correct.
prayerful way, so I don't think we should have a debate in front of the press on this. But the fact is, the House Republicans could bring up this bill, if they had the votes, immediately, and set the tone for what you want.
If we thought we were gonna get it passed in the Senate, Nancy, we would do it immediately. We'd get it passed very easily in the House.
No, that's
We
not
would
the
get
point.
it, Nancy, I'd have it passed in 2 seconds. It doesn't matter, though, because we can't get it passed in the Senate because we need 10 Democrat votes.
Well,
That's the problem.
again, let us have our conversation, then we
That's
can
right.
meet with the press again. But the fact is that legislating, which is what we do.
Right.
You begin, you make your point, you state your case. That's what the House Republicans could do, if they had the votes. But there are no votes in the House, a majority of votes, for a wall, no matter where you start.
Exactly right. You don't have.
If I needed the votes for the wall in the House, I would have them in one session,
Well, then
would
go
be
do it.
done.
Go do it.
It doesn't help because we need 10 Democrats in
No,
the
don't put
Senate.
it on the Senate, put
course.
it on the negotiation.
Okay, let me ask you this, and we're doing this in a very friendly manner. It doesn't help for me to take a vote in the House where I will win easily with the Republicans.
You will not win.
It doesn't help to take that vote because I'm not gonna get the vote
Don't put
of
it
the
on
Senate. I need
Mr.
10
President.
senators, that's
Mr.
the problem.
President, you have the White House, you have the Senate.
I have the
you
White House. The White House is
Representatives.
done, and the House would give me the vote if I wanted it, but I can't because
Well,
I
you
need,
can't-
Nancy, I need
you
10
can't.
votes from Chuck.
All right, let me say
Let
something here.
let me just say one thing. The fact is, you do not have the votes in the House.
Nancy, I do, and we need
Well,
border
let's take the
security.
vote,
Nancy,
we'll find out.
Nancy, we need border security. It's very simple.
Of course we do.
We need border
We
security.
do.
People are pouring into our country, including terrorists. We have terrorists. We caught 10 terrorists over the last very short period of time.
Over the
10.
last very
These
short
are very
period of
serious
time.
people.
We did.
Our border
I know, but the
agents,
way he words
all of
things
our
cracks
law
me up.
enforcement has been incredible what they've done. But we caught 10 terrorists. These are people that were looking to do harm. We need the wall. We need, more important than anything, we need border security, of which the wall is just a piece. But it's important. Chuck, did you want to say
Yeah,
something?
here's what I want to say. We have a lot of disagreements here. The Washington Post today gave you a whole lot of Pinocchios because they say you constantly misstate how much the wall is built, how much of the wall is built, and how much is there. But that's not the point here. We have a disagreement about the wall,
Washington
whether
Post.
it's effective or not. Not on border security, but on the wall.
Look at him, look at Pence, the Washington Post.
Trump canceled the White House press Christmas party. No.
We do not want to shut
free
down the
foodies
government.
for
You were
them.
called 20 times to shut down the government. You say, I want to shut down the government. We don't. We want to come to an agreement. If we can't come to an agreement, we have solutions that will pass the House and Senate right now and will not shut down the government, and that's what we're urging you to do. Not threaten to shut down the government,
You don't
because you,
wanna
let me
shut
just
down the
finish,
government,
because you can't
The
get your
last
way.
time you shut it down, you
Yeah,
got
let me
killed.
say something, Mr. President. You just say my way or we'll shut down the government. We have a proposal that Democrats
Aren't you saying your way or we shut down the government?
and Republicans will support, do a CR that will not shut down the government. We urge you to take
And
it.
if it's not good border security, I
It
won't
is
take
very
it.
good border
And if it's not
security.
good border security, I won't take it.
It's what the
Because when
board,
you look at these numbers of the effectiveness of our border security, and when you look at the job that we're doing
you
with our
just said it is
military,
effective.
can I tell you something?
Yeah, you just said it's
Without a
effective.
wall, these are only areas where you have the walls.
We wanna do
Where
this-
you have walls, Chuck, it's effective.
We-
Where you don't have walls, it is not effective.
Yeah.
Let's call a halt to this. We've come in here as the first branch of government. Article 1, the legislative branch. We're coming in good faith to negotiate with you about how we can keep the government
Open.
I'm not hearing a negotiation.
We're gonna keep it open if we have border security. If we don't have border
I'm
security, Chuck,
with you.
we're not gonna keep it
I'm
open.
with you. We are going to have border security.
And it's the same board, you're bragging about what has been done.
By us.
We want to do the same thing we did last year, this year. That's our proposal. If it's good then, it's good now, and it won't shut down the government.
Chuck, we can build a
But that's
much
it.
bigger
Let's
section with
debate,
more money.
let's debate in private, okay? Yeah, let's debate in
That
private.
is devoid, frankly, of fact, and we can.
We need
discuss
border
that.
security. I think we all agree that we need border security.
Yes,
Is that
we
right?
do.
Good.
We do.
See, we get along. Thank you, everybody.
Mr. President, you say border security and the wall. Can you have border security without the wall?
You need the wall. The wall is a part of border security.
What it means to have border
Yeah,
security.
we need border security. The wall is a part of border security. You can't have very good border security without the wall, no.
That's absolutely not true.
Just
That
kidding.
is a political promise. Border security is a way to effectively honor our
And
responsibility.
the experts say you can do border security without a wall, which is wasteful and doesn't solve the problem.
It totally solves
But
the
I don't wanna
problem.
take this-
Wasteful?
And it's very
Democrats
important.
wasteful?
Spiraled downward when we
Democrats
came at a
don't
place
care about
to
waste.
say, how do we meet the needs of the American people who have needs? The economy has, people are losing their jobs, the market's in a mood, our members are already.
Well, we have the lowest unemployment that we've had in 50 years.
60 people of the Republican Party are losing their offices now because of the transition. People are not, the
And
morale
we've gained
is
in the
not-
Senate. Nancy,
the
we've
morale
gained in the
is-
Senate. Excuse me, did we win the Senate?
is
We
not-
won the Senate.
When the president brags that he won North Dakota and Indiana, he's in real trouble.
When
I did.
Let me say this.
We did win
Let me say this.
North Dakota
This
and
is the
Indiana.
most unfortunate thing. We came in here in good faith, and we're entering into this kind of a discussion in the public view.
But it's not bad, Nancy.
No.
It's
but
called transparency.
I know, it's not transparency when we're not stipulating to a set of facts, and when we wanted to have a debate with you about saying we confront some of those facts without.
You know
saying to
what?
the
We need
public,
border security.
this
That's what we're gonna be
isn't true.
talking about, border security. If we don't have border security, we'll shut down the government. This country needs border security.
We
The
agree
wall
with
is a
that.
part of border security. Let's have a talk. We're gonna get the wall built, and we've done a lot of wall already.
How big a part of border security is the wall?
It's a big section, it's a big part of
Is
it.
it everything that you need?
It's a big part of it. We need to have effective border security. We need a wall in certain parts, no, not in all parts, but in certain parts of a 2,000-mile border, we need a wall.
How much money?
We are doing it much under budget. We're actually way under budget on the areas that we've renovated and areas that we've built. I would say if we got $5 billion, we could do a tremendous chunk of wall.
Is that
Are you willing to
mandatory?
accept less though, and are your guests?
Well, we're gonna see, we're gonna see. Look, we have to have the wall. This isn't a question. This is a national emergency. Drugs are pouring into our country. People with tremendous
They
medical
are.
difficulty and medical problems are pouring in, and in many cases, it's contagious. They're pouring into our country. We have to have border security. We have to have a wall as part of border security.
Now, here's my question is why can't we have a GoFundMe for the wall? Because I gotta tell you, people have been talking about that. Like, why not set up a government? This is the way government's supposed to be. Hey, you want something in your government done? Why can't all the Make America Great people
Right, I like it.
donate? And I guarantee you'll have your 5 or 6 billion like in 2 days. I give some money to this border wall.
Right.
Okay, I know because it would affect my life in a positive way.
Yeah.
To stop illegal immigration, it will save me money.
Do you guys know that the government used to be funded on donations from the American people?
Why can't we set up a GoFundMe for the wall? It will fund the wall. We can
Yeah.
fund it. Like, I would be happy to pay those kind of taxes. This is where I want my money to go. I know it's going to do a good thing. I know it's going to
Yeah.
save lives. It's going to stop fentanyl from coming over. It's going to stop heroin from coming
Yeah.
over. It's going to stop terrorists from coming over. That's where I want to put my money. Why can't we set up a GoFundMe with then the GoFundMe doesn't get any of it.
Yeah.
It's got to be a government site for it
Which the
that
government could totally do.
would totally take all of it and just say this is for the wall and then just put it for the wall. That's what I don't understand. Like, why can't we do that? Why can't we do that? Why somebody make it happen?
So, okay, I'm with you 90%. 10% of me says, listen, the reason why they won't give him the $5 billion is because they are too busy wasting it on researching the mating habits of some frog in Africa.
Right.
Okay? And so I don't think that Trump wants to take more from the American people, even though we would be willing to do it, because it's not fair. We did an episode once where we talked, I think it was the last time the budget came up, where we covered, because it was Rand Paul actually that went through it and explained to us and showed us all of the waste that was happening. And you guys, the amount of money that is just, if they pared down getting rid of all of those stupid things like funding the mating habits
I have a greater
of
idea.
a frog in Africa.
Make your contribution totally tax deductible.
Okay, but I'm still saying that they need to just cut out the waste.
I know, but and to me, it feels like, I know that Trump's saying, listen, I said that our government would fund this, but it would totally blow the narrative. It would blow everything in government.
Yeah.
If you could start funding things that you wanted in the government.
No, I really like that idea.
That is, and it could start with this, because the people want this. And that's the way government should be funded.
Yeah.
We shouldn't have, if you don't want to pay for the wall, I don't want to make you pay for the wall. If you don't want to pay for Planned Parenthood, you shouldn't have to pay for Planned Parenthood.
Yeah.
But let me pay for the wall. If the government wants to put in a wall and they can't get the lawmakers to do it, and they don't want to take money, maybe some people it is against their morals to fund the wall. It's not against my morals to fund the wall. So
in your theory and in your thinking,
it
would
would
transcend
blow government funding out the water.
And it would get rid of funding the mating habits of a frog in Africa, because no one would voluntarily go fund me that.
Exactly.
Maybe there might be
Why
some crazy people
not put people's money where their mouth is? Okay, because here's the thing. This is the way it should be. Like the Grover Cleveland story that you always tell me.
Yeah.
I love this story where it was the legislators at the time, part of them wanted to fund help for people who had been in a fire.
Right.
Grover Cleveland, at the time, I believe, didn't he say, listen, we shouldn't put this on everybody, but I'm willing to put up my own salary.
2 weeks worth. All it was 2 weeks of their salary.
And we could help these people.
So he said, I'll give up 2 weeks of my salary, and everybody in here gives up 2 weeks of their salary.
If we really feel like this is important.
And I don't know if anybody voted to do it.
The Democrats are so easy. The Democrats want to spend everybody else's money.
Yeah.
But conservatives and Republicans are willing to spend their own money, and that's the difference.
So Dan Maynard on Facebook Live says, I heard there were a couple of GoFundMe sites for the wall, but haven't found them. And Kate says the majority of people want the wall. So the GoFundMe part probably wouldn't work, because if it came directly from, like, are you guys getting the emails from the White House that I get?
I
like
get
the Trump
messages.
emails? If it came from something like that, then it would probably work. If it's just some random person,
it has to come from the White House.
From the White House.
Yeah. Okay. So here's Donald Trump yesterday at 1:00. Let's not shut down the government. Let's not do a shutdown. Democrats, do what's right for American people.
Absolute hypocrites. All along, they've been supporting walls and supporting fences and supporting all sorts of border security.
Illegal immigration is wrong, plain and simple.
I voted numerous times when I was a senator to spend money to build a barrier to try to prevent illegal immigrants.
What the heck is different between a wall and a barrier?
I don't know.
A barrier to prevent people from coming in is a wall.
Yeah.
It's a wall. If I put up a barrier on my house, it's a wall. You want to call it a big door? Call it a big door that locks. Whatever you want to call it. You want to call it windows that you see through. It's a barrier.
Oh my gosh, Leah.
From coming in.
We simply cannot allow people to pour into the United States undetected, undocumented, unchecked.
The fact is, they've always supported fences and walls and partitions, but you know what? They only don't want to do it because of me. They have to put the people ahead of politics.
Yep.
We need to have the wall. We need border security. Whatever it takes to get border security, I will do it. I pledged that a long time ago, and I will pledge it always. We've done a really fantastic job with what we have. We can do an almost perfect job if we have the wall and proper border security. And that's what we're going to do for the American people.
It should be so simple. They just don't. It should be so simple. But they obviously hate Donald Trump so much.
But I love that he made up that propaganda video.
65 countries have border walls and barriers today, by the way.
It's necessary.
So Donald Trump is being blamed for this 7-year-old girl who came up in the migrant caravan, who died from dehydration.
Oh my god.
But she didn't. They're saying that she was only in custody for 7 hours, and she died. So all of a sudden she became dehydrated and starved to death in 7 hours.
No, you do not. You have to be on the verge of death. Okay.
Exactly.
Already. Oh my goodness.
Exactly. So it's really sad, and I'm very sorry that this happened. But her father had not given her food or anything to drink. The 7-year-old girl who U.S. officials tried to cross the U.S.-Mexico border illegally with her family has died hours after being taken into custody. See if I need her bowl. The Guatemalan girl who authorities have named as Jacqueline Call died of dehydration and shock. The AP News agency quotes Border Patrol's officials as saying she had not had food or water for several days. And so, what this should be, instead, every news line, every headline should be, don't do this to your children.
Yeah.
Don't starve them. Don't dehydrate them. Don't try to cross thousands of miles to get into America. You're endangering the lives of your children. But of course, this is all on Trump.
Yeah.
According to Twitter, it's all on Trump. So, Nancy Pelosi actually slurred her words a whole bunch. Well, there was a couple slurs the other day. I don't know if you got to watch it.
No.
But she says that they would just shut the government down forever.
Dan Maynard on Facebook Live says her dad is at fault for that. And that should show, I mean, it says her dad didn't give it to her. Does that mean that he had it available? Does that mean it just wasn't available to the caravans? You know, sorry, carry on.
Right, look at this. Look at this. I got a kid and I'm going over with a baby. These are people smugglers, I bet. Dropping children. This is...
They just dropped that kid.
No, that was a person.
Wow. This is intense.
So if they can just get over the wall, then they can be taken in for, asylum or whatever.
That's ridiculous.
Oh, by the way, Sports Illustrated used Christine Blasey Ford as some sort of person of the year.
No way.
And to give out an award, and it just totally made me sick. But anyways, that's another news story for another day. I want to show you the video of Nancy Pelosi here.
Of her slurring her words?
Well, I don't think I'm going to be able to find the...
I am sharing that we're live on Facebook and Twitter. You all may feel free to do the same.
A very bad thing to do. Maybe the president doesn't grasp that, but that is very harmful to our country. At significant cost. Another day, when we have more time, we'll go into when the Republicans shut it down before. On the 17th day, they finally opened and cost them billions of dollars to our economy. And they still voted against opening up government. We had a large number of Republicans voted against opening up the government.
What if you think he changes his calibration, even if you're able to pass a bill under your watch on the 3rd of January, his position ostensibly wouldn't change. Why would he sign that bill to open government up in January?
Does he want to have government closed forever? I mean, what's this
Forever?
about? I know he doesn't believe in government. I know he doesn't know that much about what is at risk to shut it down.
So there she is. What does he
that
want
even mean?
Does he
He
want it
doesn't
down?
believe in government.
Does he want to shut it down forever? $5 or $6 billion for this giant trillion-dollar budget. I don't even know
And
what the
why
budget
is it that would be Trump shutting it down and not them shutting it down? Because they won't give up their stance.
Exactly. All right. So before we move on to the main stories that I want to bring to you guys, I want to go over Trump's Twitter this week because it's awesome and it's always is awesome. So let's see. We're talking about the wall. He says, I have often stated one way or another Mexico is going to pay for the wall. This has never changed. Our new deal with Mexico and Canada and the USMCA is so much better than the old, very costly and anti-USA NAFTA deal that just by the money we save, Mexico is paying for the wall. Interesting take on that. Let's see. James Comey just totally exposed his partisan stance by urging his fellow Democrats to back the White House in 2020. In other words, he is and has always been a Democrat. Comey has no right leading the FBI, had no right leading the FBI at any time, but especially after his mind exploded. Your president just tweeted out on December 11th that Comey's mind exploded. This is absolutely hilarious. Let's see. Former FBI Director James Comey under fire for his testimony, acknowledging he knew that the Democrats paid for the phony Trump dossier. James Comey, behind closed doors testimony, reveals that there was not evidence of campaign collusion with Russia when he left the FBI. In other words, the witch hunt is illegal and should have never been started. And now this was funny. Like, I woke up to Twitter, I think on December 10th, and I was like, what the heck is smocking gun? I'm not even kidding you. Smocking gun was literally trending on Twitter because of Trump, that said, Democrats can't find a smocking gun, tying the Trump campaign to Russia after James Comey's testimony. No smocking gun, no collusion. Now, he either in his phone had some sort of memory thing, or he meant to do it just to get people talking, because if he did do that just to get people talking, oh my gosh, there's that's because there was no collusion. So now the Dems go to a simple private transaction, wrongly called a campaign contribution. He picked a chief of staff. John Kelly's out. Everybody was worried that it would be Chris Christie. I didn't want Chris Christie and myself. Let's see. On 245 occasions, former FBI Director James Comey told White House investigators he didn't know, didn't recall, or couldn't remember things when asked. Opened investigations on 4 Americans, not 2. Didn't know who signed off, and didn't know Christopher Steele. All lies. Leakin James Comey must have set a record for who lied the most to Congress in one day. His Friday testimony was so untruthful. This whole deal is a rigged fraud headed up by dishonest people who do nothing so that who would do anything so that I could not become president. Now they are exposed. Let's see. It's all amazing. I love his tweets. Please don't ever stop tweeting. Let's see. All right, General Flynn, because that's the big story we're going to cover tonight. They gave General Flynn a great deal because they were embarrassed by the way he was treated. The FBI said he didn't lie, and they overrode the FBI. They want to scare everybody into making up stories that are not true by catching them in the smallest of misstatements. Sad. They're doing that to James Corsi, who is a Alex Jones contributor, friend of Roger Stone, and what they did to him was he forgot an email that he had. So he was under investigation for hours and hours, or interrogation, and he forgot. So he went back, and they allowed him to change his testimony, written statement. But then they went back on the first statement and wanted to charge him with lying. And and they wanted him to flip on Trump to say that he had prior knowledge of the WikiLeaks dropping Podesta's emails, or the DNC emails, whichever one. I think it was the DNC emails. And with WikiLeaks, and he did it. And so he said, I won't be, caught lying. And then Mika Brzezinski said something crazy about Mike Pompeo, some homophobic things. So then Trump tweets out, if it was a conservative that said what crazed Mika Brzezinski stated on her show yesterday using a certain horrible term, that person would be banned permanently from television. But she will probably be given a pass, despite their terrible ratings. So funny. Let's see. There's more. There's always more. He just is a gift that keeps on giving. We love you, Trump. You are hilarious. So he is announcing Mick Mulvaney. I have no idea who this is. Director of the Office of Management and Budget will be named acting White House Chief of Staff, replacing General John Kelly, who has served our country with distinction. Mick has done an outstanding job while in the administration. I look forward to working with him in his new capacity as we continue to make America great again. John will be staying on to the end of the year. He's a great patriot, and I want to personally thank him for his service. And then everybody was saying it would be Jared Kushner, and nobody wanted the job. And so then Trump says, for the record, there were many people who wanted to be the White House Chief of Staff. Mick M will do a great job. So he dispels the lies.
Sorry, I was putting potatoes in the oven because we don't have anything to eat.
Potatoes are good. Potatoes are always good. All right. Let's see. All right. There's no plan GOP in shutdown turmoil as Trump holds out for the wall. GOP lawmakers are fuming, actually, over a partial government shutdown is set to hit just in time for Christmas after President Trump put his foot down in a Tuesday meeting with Democrat leaders and demanded $5 billion in funding for a border wall, as opposed to the $1.3 billion which would otherwise have been appropriated. During the Tuesday meeting with, Trump said he'd had the votes, and they said then do it, blah, blah, blah. Chuck Schumer later dug in his heels, said, I want to be crystal clear. There will be no additional appropriations to pay for the border wall. It's done. It's so silly. It's like literally they have all the money that they need. It's not a big deal. It's literally a tug of war. I guess the Republicans said that they have no plan, which is, you know what?
So when
sometimes
you were in here and I
go.
was outside, listening to you talk about Trump's tweets, what was the smocking gun?
Smocking gun.
Don Maynard on Facebook Live says he knows the liberals will share it to mock him, but he gets them to spread his message. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, it is not above Trump to troll people to make that happen. He wants to trend on Twitter. He's going to put something out there like that, and he gets his message across.
Okay, so we are going to get to Flynn, which I know you guys are all like on bated breath. We are going to get to the Clinton Foundation whistleblowers who have been investigating the Clintons, and they have a lot of information that if anybody in the government wanted to put the Clintons in jail, they could.
Right.
Now, it's just a question of if they did. Now, if it was reversed and it was a Trump organization, Trump be in jail tomorrow. You know what I mean? But I
just keep thinking, like, I have to tell you guys, I am a pretty strong person morally, and I think that God protects me from things. But if I was in their position, I may not try to throw the Clintons in jail either, because you know what? I don't want to die. I do not want to be put on a hit list. I don't want some strange person to come and put a silencer on a gun, or I drink something and all of a sudden Michelle at a very young age, has a heart attack, a mysterious heart attack or a brain aneurysm that just can't be explained. I mean, come on, that happens. They do that.
Right. So here's the thing. You guys know that there are two populist forces in the world today. There's this Democrat, socialist, populist, Bernie Sanders type, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Do you have to say
Bezos.
all three of her names?
I don't know how to
just say Alexandria Cortez.
Whatever.
Cortez.
Anyways, and this Bezos guy down in Texas. Anyways, people like what they have to say because they want to stick it to the rich.
Yeah.
Okay.
Stick it to those evil rich people.
Clinton, and she used to be of that kind of, commie mindset. However, because she is the rich now, she has a whole different mindset. There are establishment Republicans, and they're on their way out. And there's established Democrats, and they're on their way out. Mm-hmm. And there's populist, socialist Democrats, and they're on their way up. And there's populist socialists, or populist libertarian conservatives, and they're on their way up. What is so crazy? What's so funny is that the populists on either side actually have more in common, than they do with their own party, with their own side. Yeah. Because the neoliberals and the neocons have more in common than they do with their people. Right. So Clinton comes out to basically to say this, said that there's no room for those people, those lefty people, in her little Democrat world of globalism. So the lefty populist people who follow us on Facebook and things like that, they don't want war. Hillary Clinton made her money by funding war, by being a part of war,
absolutely,
by promoting war. That's how Democrats they have to promote war. Okay, you don't see the mainstream media coming in and saying, let's pull out of Syria, let's pull out of Yemen. You know what I mean? Oh, Khashoggi died. Ooh, the world didn't, but who cares that Yemen kids are being blown up in buses?
I do.
You know what I mean? And so the socialists on the left and the libertarians on the right, when it comes to like Rand Paul, I'm going to talk about that with the war in Yemen. The Senate just passed a bill that there has to be a war appropriation by Congress to continue helping Saudi Arabia and Yemen.
Wow.
Okay, that's huge.
That is huge. And
that was a bipartisan passed bill, but I think there was another one in the House that didn't pass by 3 votes. Thomas Massey was livid. Do
Jeremy Keller on Facebook Live says, division is contagious. It's not right against left. It's spiritual war of good versus evil. War can be won without violence. Amen.
So basically, Hillary Clinton says, if you don't want to stick into our globalism, militarism, and big business, which totally is not of the Bernie Sanders mindset, then go away. Now, the Alexandria Cortezes, they talk a big talk. But when they're in there,
they don't get anything done.
No, but here's the thing.
They just kind of swing with the left.
They're just going to be rich. They want to be rich. Yeah. She's going to just be rich. She's not going to be a voice for the people. She wants to, you know what I mean? Demonstrating that Clinton clearly hasn't moved on from the embarrassment she suffered at the hands of Bernie Sanders, who nearly defeated her in the 2016 Democratic primary after riding a wave of support for his socialist agenda, something the polls suggest is actually popular among young Americans. Clinton lashed out during a recent interview at progressives who won't stop attacking Democrats from the left. Now, here's the thing. Republicans have been attacking establishment Republicans for years. Remember the Tea Party, Libertarian Party? You know, these are people who are like, I'm conservative values, but when you're in office, you don't do what you say you're going to run on, which is how Trump got elected. Okay? But what's funny, she cited the abuse received by Kamala Harris, a potential 2020 contender and potential Clinton rival, as an example of why the left needs to come together and unify around whoever their party's pick might be.
She's hoping it'll be for her.
With his supporters, he doesn't disown the things they say about, some of my favorite Democrats, people like Kamala Harris, who is out there speaking up and speaking out, and she's being attacked from the left. Enough. If you don't want to support Democrats, then go somewhere else.
What does that even mean?
If you don't want to support Democrats, then go somewhere else. Her remarks are just the latest sign that she has learned nothing from her historic electoral loss to President Donald Trump, because these progressives helped put Donald Trump over. They voted for him. They voted for
Clinton.
him.
When it came down to it, once Sanders was out, it was like, listen, I don't have a choice. I hate that woman that much.
If telling people support Democrats or go somewhere else is the 2020 game plan, then get ready for a second term of the Trump administration. This is some of the most detached, shameful, out of touch blankety blank I have seen in a while. If you applauded it, please slap yourself in the face. Why shouldn't progressives support Clinton? Look at her many progressive accomplishments: instigating a destructive war in Libya, glad handing with the Saudis, Russians, and other foreign powers under the auspices of the Clinton Foundation, and helping to deregulate the financial services industry in the years before the financial crisis, and generally promising to support free trade, corporate welfare, and a robust U.S. military presence around the world. When Bernie Sanders, who is still the standard bearer of the American Socialist Movement, advocated a $15 minimum wage, Clinton one-upped him by suggesting we go to 12 instead. But it's not like disillusioned Democrats have anywhere else to turn. Oh, wait.
Why is everybody going to have to go outside?
So, that was obviously awesome. So this guy, Mick Mulvaney, who's going to be the next chief of staff, hours after Chris Christie became the latest contender to turn down the offer to lead the White House staff, President Trump has revealed that OMB Director Mick Mulvaney will take the chief of staff job on a temporary basis as the president continues his search for a permanent replacement for John Kelly, who is set to leave his post at the end of the year. So this announcement comes after Kelly and Conway said Friday afternoon that Trump has 5 names on his short list of candidates, and after several top contenders turned down the job, Mulvaney is already running the Office of Management and Budget and Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, and I don't know much about him. I know that the acting AG is pretty powerful, and I just like him. I wish we could see what he's doing behind the scenes.
I know.
But we don't. So this is actually breaking news, so I want to see if we know anything about this guy. Not from Politico. Charles Payne says he's a good choice. I like Charles Payne. Sometimes you go by. I don't know if Gateway Pundit had anything new to say about this guy. Who is he? We don't know much about him. We just know he's my guy. Mulvaney is also famous for shutting down unruly reporters at the White House press briefings. During a January 2018 presser at on the Schumer shutdown, CNN's Jim Acosta tried to get smart with the White House director. So let's see.
Comment at the beginning of this, you said this was the Schumer shutdown. How can it be the Schumer shutdown when Republicans control the White House, the House, and the Senate?
Come on, you know the answer to that as well as anybody. I mean, I have to laugh when people say that, oh, we control the House, the Senate, the White House, why can't you get this done? You know as well as anybody that it takes 60 votes in the Senate to pass an appropriations bill, right? You know that.
I know that.
Okay, so when you only have 51 votes in the Senate, then you have to have Democrat support in order to keep the government, to fund the government. So that's the answer to your question.
The president asked Congress to come up with a solution for the Dreamers. Congress was in the room. Members of Congress were in the room with the president last week. It seemed to be a fairly productive meeting. And then the whole process got blown up.
When Republicans tried...
And if I may, it seems that the whole process was blown up by the president's comment.
When Republicans tried to add a discussion about Obamacare to the funding process in 2013, we are accused by Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer of inserting a non-fiscal, a non-financial issue into the spending process in order to shut the government down. How is that not exactly what is happening today? There is no reason that you have to deal with DACA this week. There's no reason you have to deal with DACA before.
Do you remember that when they made DACA a part of the thing? The Democrats made DACA a part of the budget.
Oh, yeah.
They had to. You have to make, and we will only pass the budget if you give all these illegals, they were here illegally, full citizenship.
Right.
And they're not doing it this budget around. They have another thing. Now their new thing is to stop Trump from the wall. It's absolutely crazy. So that guy, he seems like a decent bloke.
Yeah, so
right?
far, I like him.
So we'll see how that turns out. My pick, and now we're gonna go on to Flynn, if I can. I kind of want to wait. Okay, I want to do it last. But my pick is to have General Flynn be exonerated and become chief of staff. Yes. He has the military background. He knows how to organize people. He has Trump's agenda at heart. And so that is my Hail Mary.
But you haven't even gotten to why that might be possible.
From the end zone. That's my Hail Mary, literally. From the opposite end zone. Let's see. Where do we want to start with this? You know what? We're going to keep you on your feet. We're going to go to the Clinton Foundation whistleblowers. So a couple days ago, it was Thursday.
I think you mean keep them on their toes.
I want to keep you on your toes. Yeah. So a couple days ago, these two guys show up before Congress. Tom Fitton from Judicial Watch is behind them. And I really couldn't stomach a lot of it because they have to watch what they say. These two whistleblowers.
They're doing it just for the money, by the way.
I don't know. Here's the thing. That might be a front. Maybe they do want to go after the Clintons, but they're saying to keep their lives, they keep their own lives.
I can
it's
see
just
that for
the money.
sure. Yeah.
They have 6,000 documents that implicate the Clinton Foundation in not pay to play. From what I understand, what they have in implication is that the Clinton Foundation was used as a slush fund for personal uses.
Yeah.
And there's a couple snippets that I watched, and I'm not sure I'm going to be able to find them, so just let me tell you what he says. And it was really confusing. And watching Mark Meadows say this is really confusing as he was trying to break down facts for them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because Mark Meadows was like, just break it down for me. Do you think they did something illegal?
Right.
Yes. Okay.
Right.
But when you and I know what it's like, when you try to, okay, let me prove it to you. You have to give people a huge chunk, to try to prove it, to make your case.
Yeah.
You can't just say, hey, Sally hit Johnny, we're done. This isn't like a criminal like murder or rape or something. This is a giant swath of information that when you take it as a whole,
right.
They were constantly taking vacations. They were constantly paying for food and things and clothes and stuff like that. Yeah. It was a constant slush fund that when you take it as a whole, you realize it was not for charity purposes.
Right.
But if you see one thing here, one thing there, you're going to be like, whatever. So these guys professionally go after corporations and businesses who may not be paying all their taxes because it's called a whistleblower reward. And you can get a reward if they actually recover taxes from people who owe them.
Right.
And in one particular case, Bill Gates was actually not working with Bill Clinton until he got this one particular medical. The Clinton Foundation had lots of different enterprises. This one particular health initiative I think it was the health initiative. I'm not sure if it was the health initiative, or part of the health initiative, but like Mark Meadows, I'm going to get to the point for you guys. People just wanted the point. The point is that Bill Gates said you need to get this correct with the IRS. So they file the filings that you need to file to make this health initiative proper and right in the government under the IRS.
Yeah.
However, there's a question on there that says, is this a company that has, or a company, charity that has been operating in the past, or is it new? Okay. Well, it had been operating for 10 years. Bill Gates said, make sure you get this properly filed.
Right.
So they marked on the form, no, it's new. But it's the same thing. They just changed the name. All the staff is the same. So that is tax fraud.
Yes, it is.
Because what would have happened is the past 10 years, when they weren't operating as a 501c3,
yeah,
they would have had to owe taxes. But they were operating as like this charity, but they weren't officially a charity.
Right.
So they owe taxes on this past. So that's just one area.
You really cannot all of a sudden just change the name of a company just so that when you file it for tax purposes,
right,
it's a different company.
Right. So let me give you what Sarah Carter says, a little bit more technical. She says, the Clinton Foundation operated as a foreign agent early in its life and throughout its existence, and did not operate as a 501c3 charitable foundation as required, and is not entitled to its status as a nonprofit, alleged two highly qualified forensic investigators accompanied by 3 other investigators. They said in an explosive testimony Thursday at the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee.
How did they get in it? I mean, this is just totally random, and maybe you don't even have the answer to this, but how do they get access to all of this stuff?
They went undercover.
Really?
And he pretended to be a friend. He was a friend of one of the I think the chief financial officer at the Clinton Foundation. He literally said, "I know where the bodies are buried."
Wow.
Okay, and he.
So they're literally going undercover. Is what I'm saying. I mean,
he told this guy
that blows my mind.
This guy right here, who sat down with him, the chief financial officer, said, "No, it operates as a slush fund. It doesn't." And there was another woman that they talked to who was part of the Clinton Health Initiative.
She's the one that they won't disclose.
Who said her name.
Yeah.
Exactly. They won't disclose her name. Their sources. And Mark Meadows wants they have 6,000 documents. Mark Meadows wants these documents, but I can understand why these guys don't want to give them to Congress, because they've given them to the IRS. The IRS is not doing anything with them. Yeah. Why? Because if it was Trump, that's what I'm telling you, Trump would be in jail yesterday.
Exactly.
Okay? They also gave it to the FBI office in Little Rock, who they were told they were thankful for it. But we don't know if they're pulling their leg. Mm-hmm. We don't know if there's an open investigation. Right. We don't know what they're doing there. Now, there's this guy, Huber, who...
why would you play all of your hand at once? Because their strength behind what they're doing is that they went and did all this stuff. If you hand over these documents, then you give people that are corrupt in the government an opportunity to go and try and bleach things.
Right. So I'm going to get to the end so you guys got an idea of how this went down, because one of the biggest things here to show you that, okay, it is really exciting that the government, it is really exciting that these people did this investigation. But the guy who's supposed to be in charge of like taking investigating the Clinton Foundation, his name is Huber. And Mark Meadows gets it out of these guys that they lost the 6,000 documents. The government did first 2 times. They wanted it. They wanted it a 3rd time. They're going to keep burying it and burying it and burying it. So
how do you lose 6,000 pages?
There are 17 angry Democrats fishing for anything against Trump and not finding anything. He is squeaky clean. If anything they're finding is a payoff to a porn star, that's it. That's all you've got on him.
Right.
And Cohen himself, he literally skipped out on $4 million in tax income.
Right.
He owed $1.4 million in taxes on it. He needs to go to jail. I mean, tax fraud. And Manafort did tax fraud. So he's got these 2 lawyers on tax fraud. But otherwise, Trump is squeaky clean. However, if the roles reversed and see, I don't believe that Republicans would use it wrongfully the way the Democrats are doing. Mm-hmm. So if you say 17 angry Republicans with a super Republican or even a patriot, the Clintons would only go to jail based on facts.
Yeah.
Not made up things. They wouldn't try to hang dry Huma Abedin. The media wouldn't let them. You know, they wouldn't try to hang out Loretta Lynch or all these people. They wouldn't try to corner these people into a corner to get them to sing on the Clintons. That's not the way. The media wouldn't let them. The public wouldn't let them. They would have to be by the book. So I don't want you to be disappointed if the Clintons never get prosecuted, but I want you to know that the information is there. And sometimes you just have to let God have justice.
Sure.
Okay, God will give justice. There is justice here on earth and there's justice in heaven. Okay, so when we're talking about these things, I need you to know. Because I'm telling this to myself.
I want you to know right now
that the Clintons, there is evidence. The problem is there's never been quite enough
evidence against the Clintons.
Now here Mark Meadows is talking to these investigators about why Huber seemingly lost their 6,000 documents and had to have it sent a third time just days before this hearing.
Are they digitally sent?
Yeah, on a thumb drive. They gave him a thumb drive. Okay, but here's the thing. Mark Meadows is like, it just so happens that they ask you for a third time just a couple days before this hearing. Do you think this hearing has something to do with the fact that they asked you for the documents again?
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so.
Ongoing investigation, that's what you recall that they said.
That is what I recall to the best of my memory.
And so if indeed there's an open and ongoing investigation and you've given the
Let me see.
It's not allowed. We have a submission to the IRS. We are not adverse to the Clinton Foundation. If any action is taken, it's taken by the IRS. It's not taken by us. We submit probable cause. They determine if there's an action to be taken. We are not adverse.
Okay, get past this lady here.
So your conversations with them, they acknowledge that.
Okay, I want to get it back up just a little.
Hang on though.
What?
Which one of them was quoted as saying, "I know where the bodies are buried"?
You did receive a letter of preliminary denial.
Because we
It's
were
not
in
these
appeal
guys. They're
status
just
right
quoting
now.
him as having said that.
You're appealing the denial.
They're
So
quoting
they
the chief
actually
financial
encourage
officer for the
you.
Clinton
They actually
Foundation as
say in the
having said
letter,
that.
please submit an appeal. They actually ask you, please submit an appeal as if we're wrong. So what we did is we sent our appeal in with a photocopy of the FBI and the IRS CID on the jackets removing boxes from the Clinton Foundation after they had brought a 757 down and taken all the materials out of the Clinton Foundation, Little Rock, Arkansas. We sent that with our appeal to demonstrate to the IRS that your letter coming from Atlanta doesn't reconcile with what's going on in Little Rock.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
He's talking about the fact that the IRS said
the chair
would definitely have to go and look at these records if there was a criminal investigation into them.
Yeah.
And he sent a picture saying, here is this information going to the Little Rock office. You know, there is an investigation going.
As himself. So I want to do a little follow-up here. So your conversations with the special agents in Little Rock, Arkansas, Mr. Doyle, was that you?
That was me.
All right. And so your conversations with them, they acknowledged they had received your submission and the pages of documents. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And did they acknowledge any work that they're doing with that? Either directly or indirectly?
Did not comment.
So they just said, thank you for the submission.
Well, it was a very cordial, professional conversation. I can't comment. Thank you very much. You know, we were very, very grateful for your efforts. And
then what makes you believe that there's a criminal investigation out of Little Rock then? If that's the extent of it.
I spoke to him twice. I spoke to him in August and then again in October.
All right. So what would make you think that there's a criminal investigation, Mr. Doyle? I mean, if it was just cordial, I mean, then why would you believe that there's...
Well, in the August conversation, he said this is an open and ongoing situation.
All right, so he said this is an open and ongoing situation? Investigation or situation? Or matter?
I apologize. Investigation.
All right, so it was an open and ongoing investigation that he couldn't comment on?
Yes.
So that would indeed indicate that there's an investigation.
And Chairman, look, I worked for the DEA. I do work all over the world in these cases still. The fact that they followed up with a second inquiry. Not just, hey, thanks, don't let the door hit you on the way out, but then they follow up again. That's not the sign of a closed investigation.
I get that, Mr. Moynihan, but I can't take your experience at the DEA, and I appreciate the thought, but the other part of that is, Mr. Doyle, if they said there was an open and ongoing investigation, that's what you recall that they said.
That is what I recall to the best of my memory.
And so if indeed there's an open and ongoing investigation, and you've given the information to them, why would the IRS not view that as substantial?
Well, that's...
Did they know that there was an open and ongoing investigation?
We sent a picture.
He has a smile on his face.
I heard that.
Right, so they know. Some part of the IRS knows.
That in our appeal letter.
In your appeal. All right.
And to that point, Congressman, the IRS individual was, I would say, more than mildly surprised at our interaction with the FBI.
All right. Why do you think Mr. Huber waited until November the 30th to call you about 4 letters that you had sent prior? Because you had sent one on the 14th, the 18th, the 29th, those were in April, 29th of May, as I recall, and October the 10th or 12th, based on what I understand. Why did they wait until November 30th to give you a call?
We don't know.
Do you think it might have had to do with the fact that you're coming here to testify?
The girl behind him starts laughing.
I mean, this testimony invitation just came recently. I don't know why.
They were fully aware because we had asked them to come and be a witness at this particular hearing, and then all of a sudden you get a phone call from Mr. Huber's, second in command? Is that correct?
I don't know if he's the second, but he was clearly an assistant U.S. attorney dealing directly with Mr. Huber.
So I find it just very coincidental that on November 30th, a few days before the hearing, after they had been noticed that we wanted them to come and testify, all of a sudden they would start following up. So, Mr. Doyle, what did they say about the documents that you had provided them? Did they have them all?
Congressman, he said that we are reviewing your material. I asked him if he could comment if further beyond that, if this was open and ongoing. He said, we are reviewing your material. He called me back a few hours later.
Even that guy's got a smile.
Asked specifically about, one exhibit, and then asked further if you could, do you have these on a disk? I said, I have them on a thumb drive. Would you like them? Please resend them. So I resent the thumb drive that afternoon.
So was that the first time that Mr. Huber and his team actually got the documents from you, Mr. Doyle?
That was the third time.
So you're telling me that on November 30th, they called you back and they couldn't find the first 2 submissions that you had made to the Department of Justice and Mr. Huber? That they wanted you to send them again? Is that what you're telling me?
We're concluding that ourselves. That's what we concluded.
And it was just what I've been told by DOJ, which I do not believe, just to be frank, is that this was the normal process of following up on recent correspondence. What was the most recent correspondence that you had with the Department of Justice?
That one.
October 10th?
Well, I had the correspondence that with the attorney.
Well, after the follow-up, prior to the phone call, what was the most recent correspondence you had with the Department of Justice, Mr. Huber?
We sent materials
October the 10th of 2018, delivered by FedEx on October 12th of 2018. I think I got a copy of the FedEx delivery.
Yes.
Right? And so they didn't respond to your April 4th letter. They didn't respond to the letter later in April. They didn't respond to the May 29th letter, and they finally responded to your October 10th letter a few days before a hearing that was coming up.
Correct. That is correct.
Do you think that shows the level of interest that a special prosecutor would show?
We don't know his caseload, but quite frankly, we're disappointed that 3 years level of effort goes into this. We are not paparazzi. We're not the media.
Supposedly, there's a special prosecutor who's supposed to be looking into the Clinton Foundation, and they're not looking into it. And that is why I think
And you would
Congress-
think that if you were a special prosecutor supposed to look into the Clinton Foundation and you were unbiased and someone all of a sudden handed you 3 years worth of work and 6,000 pages, you would be on it like white on rice. I mean, seriously, like...
Department of Justice is no Department of Justice.
We don't want anybody to even know who we are and the work that we do. We're financial investigators. That's what we do.
And it was Jeff Sessions who appointed Huber, and we kept being told, don't worry, Huber was appointed and he's looking into this. No.
You know, he actually just made a point right here. When one of my girls, I call them, my honeybees, stings a person, they die. It's their last hurrah. That's all they can do. I have stung you and now I die. He's like, listen, this is what we do for a living. And now we have to blow our cover. We're never going to be able to go undercover again. All right. That's kind of what he's saying here. Like, listen, this is it. We're laying it all on the line here. Sorry, carry on.
Paid to do this for a living. We work for ourselves. We don't get paid by anybody else.
And Congressman,
so it's disappointing that it took that long
and
to hear from them.
We shared our materials not only with the attorney office in Salt Lake, also in Little Rock, but other U.S. attorneys' offices as well that had been indicated as, providing support or working on Clinton-related matters. We also shared our materials with the U.S. Postal Inspection Service. So various jurisdictions that we felt would be interested both at the state and federal level. Right.
Do you notice how, there's not very many people there? No media there. They're not really covering it. Nobody really cares.
No, it reminds me of the Gosnell case.
No, it really does. But, all right. So let me give you a little bit of background on who these guys are. John Moahan and Lawrence D. Doyle, both graduates of the Catholic Jesuit College of the Holy Cross and the former expert forensic government investigators.
Always the Jesuits.
Gave their shocking testimony before Congress based on a nearly 2-year investigation into the Foundation's work, both nationally and internationally. They were assisted by 3 other highly trained experts in taxation law and financial forensic investigations. The forensic investigators stressed that they obtained all the documentation on the Foundation legally and through the Freedom of Information Request Acts from the IRS and other agencies. Former Utah U.S. Attorney General John Huber, who resigned when he was appointed by former Department of Justice Attorney General Jeff Sessions to investigate the Clinton Foundation and the issues surrounding the approval of sending to sell 20% of the U.S. uranium assets to Russia, declined to attend the hearing. Chairman Mark Meadows, who oversaw the hearing, stated that was a disappointment and that Huber declined, leaving Congress in the dark regarding the DOJ's investigation. Investigations into the Clinton Foundation have always been plagued by politics, but Moynihan wanted to make clear in his opening statement that this investigation was one of many his firm has conducted on nonprofits and had nothing to do with politics. Doyle and Moynihan have amassed 6,000 documents in their nearly 2-year investigation through their private firm MDA Analytics. The documents were turned over more than a year and a half ago to the IRS, according to John Solomon, who first published the report last week on the Hill. He says, the investigation clearly demonstrates that the Foundation was not a charitable organization per se, but in point of fact was a closely held family partnership, said Doyle, who formerly worked on Wall Street and has been involved with finance the last 10 years conducting investigations. As such, it was governed in a fashion in which it sought in large measure to advance the personal interests of its principals as detailed within the financial analysis of the submission and further confirmed within the supporting documentation and evidence section. On the onset of the hearing, Moynihan wanted to make perfectly clear that the intention to look into the Clinton Foundation was not political but based on their work as a firm. At this point, I'd like to answer 2 questions. Who are we? We are apolitical. We have no party affiliation whatsoever. No one has financed us, blah, blah, blah. We have never been partisan. We come from law enforcement and Wall Street, where each of us has dedicated our entire lives and praised the rule of law. He disclosed the reason his firm decided to take on the Clinton Foundation, the fact that they paid for the investigation out of their own pockets. Are you in this for the money? Yes, that's how we make a living. Moynihan and Doyle swapped back and forth between their testimony and opening statement, making it clear that they were working as a team. But the most shocking statements came from Moynihan's statement as he read the laundry list of violations by the Clinton Foundation. Moynihan stated, foreign agent, as he began to read from a long list of violations discovered during the course of their investigation. The Clinton Foundation began acting as an agent of foreign governments clear early in its life and throughout its existence. As such, the foundations should have registered under FARA, the Foreign Agents Registration Act. He said, ultimately, the foundation and its auditors conceded in formal submissions that it did operate as a foreign agent. Therefore, the foundation is not entitled to its 501(c)(3) tax-exempt privileges as outlined in the IRS 170. Doyle, who was also outlining a litany of violations by the foundation, noted that currently there are approximately 1.7 million nonprofits in the United States that annually generate nearly $2 trillion, which is 9% of the U.S. GDP, who's minding the store and looking out for the donors and minding the rule of law. And it says, on that note, we followed the money, so we made extensive spreadsheets of their revenues and expenses. We analyzed their income statements, and we did a macro review of all the donors, which it's a very jumbled sort of foundation. Less than 1/10 of 1% of the donors gave 80% of the money, so we followed the money. Moynihan added that the foundation did pursue programs and activities for which it had neither sought nor achieved permission to undertake, meaning when you have a 501(c)(3 as a charitable organization, you have to have it written what you're going to do with it, and you have to stay within those bounds. Otherwise, you have to start another.
So I know that you don't like it when I talk math and then I end up looking stupid on the show, but less than 1/10 of
1%.
1%, isn't that like out of 1,000 donors? You know what I'm saying? Like 1,000%. That's they've you can't really have 1,000%, but you know what I'm saying? Like, let's say there were 1,000 donors, one donor gave. What is that, 80%? Okay, yeah. So when he says that they follow the money, it's very, very clear to figure out what the motive is,
right,
and what the aim is of the Clinton Foundation. Where is the money going? Is it just a slush fund? It's not that difficult to figure it out.
Right. So he gave this example of the Clinton Presidential Library in 2004. He noted that the foundation's role before and after the library was built was a misrepresentation to the donors of the approval organizational tax status to raise funds for the presidential library programs therein. In these pursuants, the foundation failed the organizational and operational task. Additionally, Doyle stated that the foundation's intentional misuse of donated public funds. He stated that the foundation falsely attested that it received funds and used them for charitable purposes, which was in fact not the case. Rather, the foundation pursued in an array of activities, both domestically and abroad. Some may be deemed philanthropic, albeit unapproved, while other, much larger in scope, are properly characterized as profit-oriented and taxable undertakings of private enterprise, again, failing the operational test, meaning they were making money off of the money. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Philip Hackney, a tax law professor at Louisiana State University, who is a former exempt organizations lawyer at the IRS, and Tom Fitton, president of the conservative government watchdog group Judicial Watch, also testified at the hearing. Judicial Watch has been at the forefront of fighting the Clinton Foundation. And Tom Fitton, he was there. He actually got questioned by Jim Jordan on some things. I don't know if it was necessarily according to the pay for play.
Well, I liked how you missed reading one of the parts that guy had said. He said, listen, these are not our facts. These are not your facts. Mm-hmm. These are the facts of, he was pretty much saying, we're not biased. These aren't our facts that we have uncovered. They're not your facts. These are the facts solely of the Clinton Foundation. Okay? And so there is no, I want them, to be found guilty of this, or I don't, or it isn't bipartisan. He's literally just saying, it isn't partisan. He's literally just saying, these are the facts of the Clinton Foundation. We're not making it up. This is what we have found.
Exactly. So I'm going to go to Tom Fitton a lot from this, and then also into Flynn, because he's been talking about both. In this one, he talks about there's three kind of major things. That's the email server one. Let's see if he's so much. If you guys aren't following, if you guys want to follow somebody, follow Tom Fitton. I mean, like, his brain is like Donald Trump's. I don't know how he does it. He stays on top of everything, and he knows every single detail. This guy is a genius, by the way. He is a genius. I'm not even kidding you. Follow his Twitter if you want to know anything, because he's tweeting out all day long, every day. He really cares. Like, make Tom Fitton your chief of staff.
I know. Well, but see, then you can't because you need Tom Fitton on the front lines of actually making change.
So it looks like I'm not going to get the video he had with Jim Jordan here.
Is that it? No, that's just him getting ready to testify.
Yeah, so...
Okay,
no, we're fine. It's not that important because I think we're running low on time, and I think it's time to go on to Flynn. But my point is there were some good bombshells that did happen yesterday.
Did you want to briefly talk about the Christmas market first? You want to save Flynn for last, or do you want to just move right into it because we're right here?
Did we put it in the title?
No.
Then we'll talk about it on.
Okay. Well, we told them we would, but yeah, that's fine.
Talk about it on Sunday because it's because there's so much here.
All right, we'll do Theresa May and the Christmas market on Sunday.
Yeah, there's so
unless Kansas and I are working on the deck, in which case Leah will do.
Yeah,
May and
well, if you want to see something European real quick, we'll play this.
Oh, come on!
Are you ready?
Drunker Yunker. No! What is that? What was that?
I don't know.
What did he just do there? He's psychotic. He's so weird. Strange man.
I don't think you get to do that.
You don't do that. You don't just fluff some lady's hair.
Oh, this is my favorite meme. This is my favorite meme. Trump announces new chief of staff and attorney general.
I love it. That's so awesome.
I really wanted to talk about the Google hearings this week, but we just didn't. We ran out of time.
Oh my gosh. You know, Donna Terry is so right. She says the 501c3 is the worst thing that ever happened to the church. I could not agree more. Okay. If you want to make churches tax exempt, that's fine. But the fact that they've put contingencies on that where the churches can't even talk about anything political, like what's like 7% of it's come on. You can't make any changes from the church if you choose money over morals. So you shouldn't. I don't think churches should be 501c3.
Exactly.
Pay your taxes. Whatever. Who cares?
Exactly.
Pay the taxes.
Okay. In a historic action, the Senate has voted to end U.S. involvement and support for the war in Yemen. For the first time, they have voted us out of a war since Vietnam.
Hot dog.
On Thursday, the Senate voted 56-41 to pass SJ Resolution 54 and in support for Saudi Arabia's war on Yemen. In a statement, Rand Paul said, I applaud the historic passage in the U.S. Senate to end support for the war in Yemen. It's time to focus on America and not the Middle East. Saudi Arabia has been committing atrocities against civilians in Yemen, and we should have nothing to do with it. Today, in an historic vote, the Senate sent a clear message to Saudi Arabia that we will not turn a blind eye to their abuse on human rights.
This is Rand Paul, by the way.
Killing of dissidents and innocent Yemenis and fueling of a humanitarian crisis. Since entering the Senate, I've spoken out against Congress's abdication of its constitutional responsibilities in foreign policy, and I've worked across the aisle to help build the bipartisan consensus that made its voice loudly heard today. I will continue working to ensure that today's victory is just the beginning of a long-awaited change in how Congress operates. And he says he, most recently in November, he forced a procedural vote on his resolution that would have blocked the sale of an estimated $300 million in high explosive rocket artillery and associated training and support to Bahrain, to Saudi Arabia, a member of the Saudi-led, to Bahrain, a member of the Saudi-led coalition waging the war in Yemen, but that wasn't passed. But here is this legislation that will make it so, hey, if you want to help Saudi Arabia and Yemen, you have to declare war. Yeah. We're pulling out, and so this is pretty cool.
It's amazing.
And I wanted to talk to you guys about that. All right, so on to the best way I can describe what's going on with Flynn.
She literally says to me when we were setting up tonight, I need to tell you this news because I don't want it to come to you as a shock.
Okay, so
a good shock.
I'm going to try to put this all together because what a tangled web we weave when first we practice to deceive.
And it seems to me that the FBI has practiced to deceive here.
So I'm really excited about this, and I really want to break this down for you guys because I'm feeling something fantastic is happening right now.
Move.
And
feel it?
Let me break it down and we'll go into the details.
Okay.
Flynn was forced to plead guilty, and everybody said, oh, you're guilty. Go to jail. You lied. He had lost his house. He's
lost everything.
They had cornered him. So they misrepresented what he said. Now, when you're interviewed by the FBI, within 5 days, they're supposed to write down how that interview went. It's kind of like the police are supposed to write down notes.
Yeah, 5 days. Because after day 5, I got to tell you, if you're Michelle, after day 1, it starts to fade.
You're supposed to do it within 24, 48 hours.
Absolutely.
Well, there's obviously some sort of 302 that was written down. But
where did it go?
Nobody knows where that one's at.
Mysteriously
You're not going to believe this. But Flynn was actually charged with lying to the FBI based on a 302 that was written six months later in August of 2017. And it wasn't based on, it wasn't a Strzok 302 who, and his agent, there were 2 agents. You're supposed to write them as an agent. It was somebody else who interviewed Strzok about the interview that wrote this 302.
So I want to break it down. Number 1, it wasn't the interviewee that wrote the 302. So I don't know how it can be a 302 if it's not written by the person that actually interviewed Flynn. 2, it's supposed to be done within 24 to 48 hours, 5 days max. It's written 6 months later via telephone by somebody else. And the best punchline, can I give it?
You might mess up the facts.
They hid the information from Flynn's lawyers that they were using a 6-month-old 302.
Well, let me get these facts straight. And also, Page was fired, I believe, around that time, and then demoted and let me get these facts straight because it's so insane. But you have good news here because the judge on the case, Judge Sullivan, has already had to go after FBI agents who withheld exculpatory evidence. This is what happened. The FBI, countrywide, is evil. Okay? Because this is what happened to the Bundys. They withheld exculpatory evidence and they used their position to go after people.
Yeah.
We are seeing this all over our country where the FBI is attacking people like it is a cancer. You have to disband the FBI. They're not doing anything.
Hashtag disband the FBI. We've been trying to get that one trending.
Okay. Let's see if we can get our facts straight. Days before Army Lieutenant General Michael Flynn was set to be sentenced, Judge Emmett G. Sullivan ordered the Justice Department to produce interview records. He wants to see the 302s. Now show me what you wrote. Right. I don't want to hear what you said you wrote. I want to see it.
It should go without saying that it needs to, that's why you write it down.
Right.
It should be evidence that is entered into the case.
From their meeting with former National Security Advisor Mike Flynn, amid a filing by Flynn's legal team suggesting that he was pressured or tricked into lying by the FBI. Now, people wondered why would Flynn's legal team, if they had an inkling that the FBI tricked him, okay, why wouldn't they just bring their plea back?
Yeah.
Now, if he did take away his guilty plea, he could get a worse sentence. It becomes really sticky. So what they had hoped, they put footnotes at the bottom, and they had hoped that Sullivan would find them and say, we're wondering about this, 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 and this. Okay? These footnotes are huge, and Sullivan found them.
Yay!
Sullivan found them. This was like literally a Sherlock Holmes case. Like, I'm going to hope that Sullivan sees this because it could let you off. Because it was a footnote as to why they wanted a reduced sentence of no jail time and maybe some community service.
Yeah.
Okay. Rather than asking to be exonerated.
Right.
Okay. They are hoping that it can be flipped. When you go before a judge, the judge has a responsibility to make sure that the government is actually bringing forth a proper case as well.
Right.
So the judge can exonerate you. Okay. All right. So here we go. Flynn pleaded guilty to one count of lying about his contacts with the then Russian ambassador Sergei Kislyak. He didn't have. What they did was, and this is really crazy. Okay, so they had wiretapped Flynn and Kislyak. Okay, they knew what his conversation said.
Yeah.
So you guys know how bad Andy McCabe is. How he was just really
very
evil dude.
Corrupt.
Okay, they were all texting, and we want to get
Trump.
And McCabe's even being investigated right now for lying, and Comey's throwing McCabe under the bus. It's all this crazy thing. But anyways, so McCabe calls up Flynn, buddy, hey, I want to send over a couple agents to talk to you about this conversation you had with a Russian. At that point, Russia wasn't on the radar. There was no Russia investigation. So Flynn, being a military guy, thought that he was just going to have a friendly conversation. And here's another kicker. You ready? McCabe suggested that he not have any counsel present because it was just going to be a friendly conversation. And it would tie things up and make things more complicated. So I suggest, he literally says, I suggest you don't have a lawyer present. I suggest you don't have a lawyer present. So Strzok and this other guy go over there and kind of buddy him up, pretend like they're talking about him about one thing, and then say, hey, we're going to talk about this conversation. And then they trick him because they know what he says, and so they ask about what he would have said, but in a tricky way. They didn't sit down and say, hey, you had this conversation. We know you had this conversation. Would you talk to us about this conversation? Right. They literally were tricking him into lying. Okay? They went in, and McCabe says, I don't want you to have a lawyer present.
Which feels illegal right then and there.
So what? Here's another kicker.
He should get in trouble for that.
There are so many kickers here. Now, Comey, to kick that down the road, get this what he says.
We're kicking a lot
here. He laughs in an interview and says, we never would have gotten away with interviewing him without White House counsel under the Bush or the Obamas, but I felt because it was a new administration and they didn't have organization in place, we could get in there. You're going to have to fix the camera.
I will. It's fine.
He literally says, we were setting him up.
Yeah.
And he's laughing about it.
Right.
Okay. So, now that we have that down. Flynn pleaded guilty to one count of lying about his contacts with then Russian Ambassador Sergei Kislyak, wiretapped phone calls of which the FBI had seen the transcripts. After FBI agents interviewed Flynn, they would have written up a summary of the meeting in a report known as 302. Which is used by FBI agents to report or summarize the interviews they conduct with witnesses or suspects and are typically filed within days of the interview. Now, Comey, trying to cover his tracks, said, we do believe that he lied, but what Strachan and the 302 says was that he didn't exhibit any signs of lying, like shifting in his seat or sweating or things like that.
Yeah.
But it was that they didn't think he was lying. Okay, or trying to purposely deceive. Okay? The 302 sought by Judge Sullivan would undoubtedly shed light on the FBI's thought process and conduct surrounding the Flynn interview, as it was reported in February that the agents interviewing him, Peter Strzok and Joe Pinka, I don't know how to say it, Pinka, did not think Flynn was lying. Thus, Judge Sullivan's demand for the 302 summary of Flynn's interview would have likely cleared things up. Unfortunately, the Department of Justice just submitted a 302 interview of Strzok's account of the Flynn interview, which was conducted 6 months after the fact. Earlier this week, Judge Emmett Sullivan ordered DOJ to produce the FBI 302 of the FBI interview to Flynn. Those documents were just filed.
Wow.
There is no 302 of the interview. Instead, there's a 302 of an interview of Strzok talking about the interview 6 months later.
Oh my gosh.
You can't charge somebody.
You absolutely can't charge anybody on
telephone.
that.
It's a telephone thing. They interviewed Strzok, not the other guy, just Strzok, right before he was demoted and fired or whatever, okay? The 302 of the interview with Strzok about the Flynn interview, however, explicitly references a 302 written up about the Flynn interview by a redacted official who is likely Joe Pinka. I don't know how to say it. Pinka. DOJ did not include that 302 in the filing for the judge. The judge wants to know, what did you initially think? And the DOJ did not submit it.
Wow.
They didn't say, we burned it, we lost it.
Which is probably what happened.
It's missing.
Oh my gosh.
In June, Representative Mark Meadows suggested in an interview at The Hill that the Flynn 302 reports had possibly been tampered with. Meadows, the leader of the conservative House Freedom Caucus and a close ally of President Trump's, said he and other lawmakers are finding evidence of possible tampering, an allegation he previously made at a House hearing where Justice Department Inspector General Michael Horowitz testified. I brought this up with the Inspector General the other day. Some of those key witnesses will be asked to appear before the House oversight. The question about the FBI interview reports was, were they changed to change the outcome of prosecution decisions? I think they may have, just like they did for Hillary Clinton. They changed it from an investigation to a matter.
Oh, it's just a matter.
But with Trump, it's not a matter. It's an investigation.
Right.
because they didn't want to investigate Clinton on the email thing.
Yeah.
Okay? Breaking. I.G. Horowitz confirmed that he is investigating allegations, this is from June 19th, that the FBI officials edited the Agents 302 summary reports of interviews with witnesses and suspects in the 2016-2017 investigations, including General Flynn. So don't do many predictions, but here it goes. The Flynn 302 is a composite 302. The source materials were not just edited, but deleted prior to Flynn's prosecution.
Again, that's from June 7th as well.
Yeah. There is precedent for this. Mueller's number 2, Wiseman, destroyed 302s and draft notes. Mueller's number 2 has already been caught destroying 302s and draft notes so that he could prosecute people. Why he's still allowed to be a prosecutor, I don't know.
Jail for that.
So
302s are, I mean, how is it that it's an actual filing of the agents, I don't want to say recollection, but how they processed, how they perceived the interview with a subject went. You can't just go destroying those to make something out the way that you want it to be. That you should be in jail for that.
So here's the thing.
They're trying to put Flynn in jail for lying to the FBI once. That is like, this is fraud.
Right. I know. This is why we have to take down. This is why we have to bring it down. Because guys, this is happening to everybody. So you get really angry because nothing good is happening. Like there's no justice for anybody.
It's good happening right now.
Well, we'll see.
What is happening over there?
Well, here's the thing. Even if Flynn gets off,
Jasper, are you okay?
We need a second special counsel who would actually want to go after a McCabe and Strzok and Mueller himself and Wiseman. I mean, like seriously,
I want to make a
they should
prediction
all
right
be in
here
jail.
on Resistance Chicks that Mueller is going to jail one day. Like, he has done so many things that are corrupt. It's all going to come out in the wash at some point, I think.
Okay, so Andrew McCabe convinced Flynn not to have a lawyer present. And then the FBI decided not to advise him of the penalties of lying. Now, they normally do. You have to know you're under penalty if you lie. But they decided not to do that because they wanted him really laid back. So Flynn's legal team argued earlier this week in a sentencing memorandum that while he maintains his guilty plea, he was unguarded during the interview. Okay? Despite recommending no jail time in a filing last week due to his significant cooperation with the Mueller investigations, the special counsel pushed back on Flynn's comments that he was unguarded. Writing in a filing, the defendant chose to make false statements about his communication with the Russian ambassador weeks before the FBI interview when he lied about the topic to the media, the incoming vice president, and other members of the presidential transition team, adding, nothing about the way the interview was arranged or conducted caused the defendant to make false statements to the FBI. The defendant agreed to meet with the FBI agents without counsel and to answer their questions. Flynn's obligation to provide truthful information came with that agreement. It did not turn on the presence of counsel. So, we have here a lot of crazy things. So, let me see. Where are we at? There's I think there was another one. Absolute mayhem in D.C. court as Mueller may have made a move. I don't know if this is the one.
While you're looking for that, let me make something very clear to you guys. I don't know if you remember when all of this went down with Flynn last year, but Leah and I were in it. And I remember us specifically telling you guys that we believed the reason why he went ahead and pled guilty was because he knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that these people were using corrupt measures and they would do anything they could to almost give him life in prison or some really harsh sentence. So I honestly believe that his guilty plea was on advisement from his lawyers that said, listen, you're going to serve a lot of time. They're going to do whatever they can. So if you at least plead guilty, you will get a lesser sentence. I think he understood. Flynn knows, and he knew then the corruption and the levels to which these people would go.
Here's the other facts I wanted
to
you
throw
to
him under
have
the bus
on this, and then we can sign off. But it's not just the missing Flynn 302 that raises red flags about
There's
this
a lot of
investigation.
red flags going on here.
It's the fact that the Strzok 302 interview, the sole basis for the Flynn charge. It's hard to believe this. It's hard to believe that is the sole basis for the Flynn charge. Was conducted 4 days after Lisa Page was fired, and days before Strzok himself was fired by Mueller.
purely coincidental.
So, literally, Lisa Page, his little girlfriend. Oh, I have to show you one more thing. They have found some text messages. Now, this is something to get our hopes up for.
Okay.
They had somebody.
I think our hopes are already up.
Somebody at the DOJ had wiped their phones, Page and Strzok. And they couldn't find these missing text messages. Remember the missing text messages?
Yeah.
They found some of them. I don't know how they do it, but like, unless you bang your phone, they might still find your text messages.
Yeah.
It's so funny. It's kind of cool for this case. But remember, so 4 days after Lisa Page was fired, his little girlfriend, and he's already known liar if he's running on a years-long affair. What that says is you're a known pathological liar. You're really good at lying.
Liar.
How can you take anything that he says? I don't know why they weren't allowed to talk about that when they were bringing it up.
I thought you were going to the thing. That's all you were going to talk about?
No, we're going to go there. Now we have one more thing about the text messages found.
Yeah, okay. No.
Okay, hang on.
I'm hanging.
Calm down.
Oh my gosh, I'm hanging. I'm really excited though.
Okay, Tom Fitton, I want to read these real quick. Special counsel admits the agents thought Flynn wasn't lying. Finally, the interviewing agents did not observe indica of deception and had the impression at the time that the defendant was not lying, nor did they think he was lying. Real Donald Trump should pardon him. Special counsel Mueller's filing confirms Flynn was set up. Corrupt Andy McCabe admits he persuaded Flynn not to involve White House counsel by warning the DOJ would then have to get involved. That's what he said. The DOJ will have to get involved if you have White House counsel. So he shut corrupt Mueller operation down and pardoned Jennifer Flynn. He says, I suspect there is no FBI 302 report of the big Flynn interview because the FBI agents who interviewed him thought it was a nothing burger and evidenced no crimes.
It wasn't until 6 months later that Strzok is comes together with something.
I think we got him lying. I'm going to write down that he lied, and then we're going to catch him on it.
Unbelievable.
Frankly, there's enough evidence for Judge Sullivan to set aside the plea because of prosecutorial misconduct and protect General Flynn from further prosecution on these issues. Now we want to get to the text messages. Let me see if I can find them. Let me see.
Robin Poe says the texts are stored in the archive database at your mobile phone's carrier. The text can be easily retrieved. All it takes is a subpoena.
All right, here we go.
Victoria says the NSA has the missing text messages.
DOJ destroyed the missing Strzok Page text messages before the IG could review them.
Unbelievable.
The Department of Justice wiped text messages before the former FBI employees Lisa Page and Peter Strzok from their cell phones before the Office of the Inspector General could review them. A new report from the DOJ watchdog reveals Page and Strzok's involvement with Special Counsel Robert Mueller's investigation has been heavily scrutinized after it was revealed they had sent a numerous.
So in the Department of Justice, there's actually no justice.
The OIG was able to recover more than 19,000 texts. These are like the extra texts. You know how many? You and I text people, but what are they doing all day? How many is that a minute?
I don't know.
A day? What is that? There's 365 days in a year.
Yeah.
There's just 19,000 missing texts between these two people. What were they doing on their phones all day, every day? How many does that break down to?
I don't know. Let's do it.
That's just the missing
so there's
ones.
19,000?
That's just the missing ones.
That's 52
texts a day just of the missing ones. How is that even conceivably possible? How is that possible?
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. They obviously didn't talk very much.
But is it 1 year worth of texts?
No, that's just a tiny little bit. It's over a couple years.
Okay, so
that's
still.
only one. No, it had to be hundreds of every day.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
How? They must ever have talked face to face. How did they have an affair? Was it a texting affair? Seriously? It was a texting affair.
Oh my gosh.
The ORG was able to recover more than 19,000 texts between Strzok and Page on their old government-issued Samsung Galaxy X5 devices that had been lost due to the agency's collection tool failure. The OIG did not include the content of these texts in the report. So we're still waiting to see what they hold. Right. And that's it. And that's the end of our show.
Oh, fantastic. That was really good. You know what? I love it when we can end on good news.
waiting.
That's good news.
Hoping for the future to get
But
better.
I don't know. Our show kind of felt really wonderful to start with because did you not enjoy
Donald
the Nancy and Chuck Schumer?
On the way to always play with
I know. I kind of did that earlier, but that's because I was trying to get cookie crumbs out of my teeth.
Her teeth aren't real.
I know.
So she's got the dentures in there. So she'll always Mr. President. That's why he can't get words out. Mr. President, I think, blah, blah, blah.
Oh my gosh. Wow. That's
She's
really
got to
great.
stop. It's a really bad habit for camera. Pulling her teeth in and out.
Yeah, that's really great. I feel like we have stuff we need to tell these people. Hey, I did a couple of Bible studies this week. You can check them out. But more than that, actually, it is kind of more than that. I mean, I want you to check out the Bible studies that I did. But when we did our video about the monument, that's so much fun. I really, really, really want you guys to share that. Because like I said, like last night in the video, my Bible study video, I was like, you guys, if we could get Trump on board with Plymouth 2020, and he could do a rally at the base of the monument for his presidential election in 2020. I mean, that year is going to be so crazy. Okay, I'm super excited about that. So I want Trump to catch wind of Plymouth 2020. Like I really do, because it epitomizes all of Americana. So there's that. Chris Holman wants me to do a shout out. He just did a sermon that he's going to put out for Christmas, I think next week. So you guys can keep a lookout for that as well. I think Kelly and Eric are still going live on Saturdays. Kelly PB fam, so you guys can check that out as well. I feel like there are other people I need to be doing shout outs for. If I should be and I'm not, I apologize. So I think that's it. We're going to be here on Sunday, hopefully promptly at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where Leah
Stacey gone?
Possibly Leah and I. Possibly
Stacey,
just
are you
Leah.
still here?
I think Stacey's gone, but it is her birthday today. So happy birthday to Stacey.
One more time.
I may or may not be here Sunday, but Leah will. That's what I'm trying to get at. It's easy for you to say. Do we have anything else we need to tell them?
We have a P.O. Box?
107 Milford, Ohio, 45150. If you submit letters, we will read them on air. We love you guys. God loves you. God bless. Remember,
it's not just a conspiracy theory.
If it's the truth. Bluntly Blonde says, I'm happy. I actually got the notification this time. Great show. Can we get a Christmas carol?
Yay! Oh, yeah. You know what I wanted to sing? I wanted to sing What Child Is This? That's really good on the guitar, but
yeah.
I don't know if I...
Go get it. We do have time. If anybody wants to stick around, we're going to do What Child Is This? And hopefully it'll be in the right key. And I really wanted... We're going to do one. We're doing it.
30-second delay.
I wanted to practice before we went live, but then Kansas, it was so hilarious, guys. He's been working diligently on my Jeep, and he comes, and we thought he was going to work on the Jeep today, and I was working on some other stuff, and I'm all dressed like this, sitting in the kitchen, and he starts taking things out onto the deck, including my tool belt. And I'm sitting there looking at Lee. I'm like, he's working on the deck. That means I got to. So I went and put my hair up and I put the thing on and my boots, and out we go, and we worked on the deck. So we did a little live video out there to show you, to tell you guys that we were going late, so you can check that out to see the progress on the deck. It's coming. It's just taking a while because of those hidden fasteners and the fact that we're doing the deck boards on a 45. So all of that said, we didn't get to practice. I know I had promised you guys Mary Did You Know tonight, but I really want Leah and I to practice that first. So instead, you're getting What Child Is This without practicing. Oh.
Might be too high.
Well, we can sing it high. We always do.
No, we don't need to. We
Okay,
can find the
good.
right key.
All right,
What
let's.
child is this who lay to rest on Mary's lap is sleeping? Angels greet with anthem sweet, while shepherds watch are keeping. This is Christ the King, whom shepherds guard and angels sing. Haste, haste to bring him, Lord. Son of Mary. Why lies he in such mean estate, where ox and ass are feeding? Good Christians, fear for sinners here. The silent word is pleading. So bring him incense, gold, and myrrh. Come, peasant king, to own him, the King of Kings. Salvation brings, let loving hearts enthroned him. Let's sing from the beginning again. What child is this who late to rest on Mary's lap is sleeping, whom angels greet with anthems sweet, while shepherds watch are keeping? This is Christ our King, shepherds guard and angels sing. Oh, haste, haste to bring him, Lord, the babe, the Son of Mary. Why lies he in such mean estate, where ox and ass are feeding? Good Christians, fear for sinners here. The silent word is pleading. So bring him incense, gold, and myrrh. Come, peasant king, to own him, the King of Kings. Salvation brings, let loving hearts enthrone him. This is Christ our King, whom shepherds guard and angels sing. Haste, haste to bring him, Lord, the babe, the Son of Mary. This is Christ our King, whom shepherds guard and angels sing. Oh, haste, haste to bring him, Lord, the babe, the Son of Mary.
Very good. That was fun. Now, in the chat last week, we asked for suggestions, and I guess because of the 30-second lag, a bunch of people gave them, and then we didn't see them.
Oh my God.
So if you want us to sing one more, we probably could, but we have to wait for the 30-second lag for it
What
to.
we need is just a compilation of requests for our second annual Christmas show.
Yeah, we did do a nice Christmas show last year. We did Noel, didn't we?
Yeah, we did last week.
We did Noel last week.
So if somebody says We Three Kings, that's a good one.
Okay. If somebody says We Three Kings, you wouldn't do We Three Kings, Leah?
No, I'm just saying. Try the top one. We'll see if it's any good.
Go Tell It on the Mountain.
Oh, that's
that was
a good
Mom's
one.
suggestion.
Oh,
do you want to do that instead?
She'll like this one.
Okay.
She'll like this one. We'll write it down.
love that one. Since Patriot Gallery requested it.
Tell it on the mountain, over the hills, and everywhere. Go tell it on the mountain that Jesus Christ is born. While shepherds kept there watching, or silent flocks by night, behold, throughout the heavens there shone a holy light. So go tell it on a mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go tell it on the mountain that Jesus Christ is born. While shepherds feared and trembled when low above the earth rang out the angel chorus that hailed our Savior's birth. So go tell it on the mountain, over the hills, oh, and everywhere. Go tell it on the mountain that Jesus Christ is born. Down in a lonely manger, the humble Christ was born and brought us God's salvation that blessed Christmas morn. So go tell it on the mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go tell it on the mountain that Jesus Christ is born. Go tell it on the mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go tell it on the mountain that Jesus Christ is born.
That's nice. Good.
All right. So now that we've got our little Christmas in, thank you for playing the guitar, Leah. That was absolutely wonderful and fun. And none of the keys were too high, so that was very fortunate. Praise God for that. Okay, so we're going to sign off here. And thank you again for being here. All of our moderators, Chris Holman, Donna Terry, Kelly PB Fam, Resistance Chicks, Britt Baza. I hope I'm not missing anybody. I know Stacy was here earlier and it's her birthday. Did I say Donna Terry? Donna Terry, I never mailed you that pendant that I was supposed to mail you, and I realized it today. And I do have your address, and I'm going to mail it to you. So it'll probably come with a Christmas card. All right, you guys. We love you. God loves you. God bless. And we will see you back again on Sunday. Have a wonderful rest of your Friday night.
I was cold.